Welcome to this edition of In Depth Alaska. I'm Kristen Durand. On Friday, the Biden-Harris administration announced an investment of $580 million for 31 port improvement projects in 15 states, including here in Alaska. I spoke with Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg about what this means for our state. So with this new funding announced this week, one of the major projects in Alaska being the $50,000 towards the Danyang Port of Alaska. Tell us a little bit about why this particular project was selected.
Yeah, 50 million. And we're really excited about what this is going to bring to a very important port. You know, I remember visiting this facility when I was in Alaska last year. And you've got conditions there that you don't see anywhere else in the world, from iron-eating bacteria to tidal variations of more than 20 feet. And this is a port that is, of course, vitally important for civilian life and has strategic and military importance for the United States. So it was clear that there was a need, and it was clear that there was a plan. And a big part of what we've been working to deliver with the Biden-Harris infrastructure plan is funding in cases where the plan's been there for a long time, but the dollars weren't. We know that the answers aren't all coming from Washington, but more of the funding should. That's what we're doing with this effort. So this is part of the Port of Alaska's modernization program. It's going to go toward constructing an entire new cargo terminal, which is very much needed. And it's part of a larger project that we've funded with different packages of funding over the years. Really excited to see what this will mean. I've spoken to Mary Peltola and both Senators Murkowski and Sullivan about the good news this week, and really believe that this is going to make a big difference, even for people who don't see it every day. Just people around the whole state are going to benefit.
Yeah, so you were here, as you mentioned, in August of last year. Did that kind of the observations that you made kind of go into the department's decision to put more money towards this port?
Yes, of course, these projects did well because they succeeded on their merits. But as we were weighing the difficult decisions about how many projects we could support, it was very helpful to have had that firsthand experience of having been on the ground, seeing the needs, the conditions, and the vision that the community has for the future of this port.
So tell us about how this is expected to affect the supply chain overall.
We know supply chains was a term that I think most people didn't really use around the kitchen table before COVID, although I think for Alaskans, it's nothing new to have to pay a lot of attention to how things get to where you need them. An investment in a port is an investment in both having more stable supply chains and in the cost of living. The cost of goods is especially high in Alaska because of what it takes to deliver things through shipping, air freight, or whatever combination gets things to where they need to be. When we have more reliable and greater capacity, that means it's possible to move goods more efficiently, and that contributes to the fight we've had to deliver disinflation, to bring prices back to a normal growth path. A big part of how we've gotten inflation in this country back down from about 9% after COVID to the neighborhood of 2% has been paying attention to supply chains, whether it's ports, trucking, rail, or even air freight.
So this particular project, and I know there are others across the state, but the one at the Danyang Port of Alaska is cargo terminal replacement. So talk to me a little bit about why that specifically is needed.
Well, this is a terminal that dates back to 1961, and it's subject to unusually challenging conditions that have really eroded the ability of the existing terminal and wharf structure to do its job. And it's not like there are a lot of alternatives. You know, on the east or west coast, if there is an issue affecting one of the ports, that's a major challenge, but there are other ports that can absorb temporarily the cargo that's coming and going there. Without the Port of Alaska, there's simply no way to get so many of the goods that are needed to where they are. So by investing this $50 million and the other funds that we've directed toward this project, there can be a new general purpose cargo terminal. That means demolishing the existing terminal, constructing the land side facilities that are needed. Also a lot of utility work. It's a very complicated thing to get a port like this up and running. It's time for a 21st century port to benefit the people of Alaska.
Do you anticipate any impacts to the port or Alaskans in general while this work is being done?
Now, certainly, when you go through a modernization program, especially one that involves outright replacement of important facilities, you're going to see a lot of activity going on. But the Port of Alaska has a plan to be able to continue with the vital shipping that goes on every day. Because again, there's really no alternative. And so the extension, stabilization, and other work that's needed to be going on for a long time will not entail a shutdown of the port. It will be diligent work to make sure people can continue to get what they need.
Yeah, and for us here in Alaska, like you said, our port is like a lifeline for our food, our goods, our resources. But you as the transportation secretary looking at ports across the country, what does the bigger picture look like for Alaska? How does Alaska specifically play into that role when it comes to that bigger picture?
Well, anywhere you go, whether it's a river port in the lower 48 or a facility like the Port of Alaska or many of the smaller ports in Alaska that we're also funding, there's actually 6 that are getting through support just through today's announcement alone. All of this adds up into that bigger picture of the economy of the United States. Everything is connected. I think America learned that the hard way with some of the post-COVID disruptions that we experienced during my first year in this job, 2021. And we also know that while there are a lot of really creative things that have been done in the short term to deal with some of the disruptions we faced, there's no substitute for the long-term investment that frankly should have been happening a long time ago and is finally possible because we actually got that infrastructure bill done. President Biden signed it 3 years ago this week, and now we're off and running, putting those dollars to work and turning them into results.
All right. And is there anything else you'd like to touch on with some of the other investments that are happening at other ports around Alaska and the importance of those?
Yeah, just want to recognize that these smaller ports are vitally important for the communities that count on them every day. And so the investments going to Kodiak, to the island, Dillingham, Hoonah, St. Paul, which is a big priority for Senator Sullivan, and Juneau. Each has its own needs, and each is getting support through this program. And we were proud to be able to support so many different projects around Alaska. Alaska did very well in this announcement.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
That covered it well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
Same here. Take care.
All right. Bye.